Today, I'm joined by Laiza Semidey, founder of Legendary Soul Studio, a Syracuse-based consulting firm focused on business growth, community engagement, and creating meaningful impact. We talk about Liza's journey, the purpose behind her work, the importance of mentorship, entrepreneurship, leadership, and the opportunities emerging in Central New York. She even shares some simple photography tips that anyone can use to take better photos with their phone. Great conversation on purpose, relationship, mentorship, and making an impact. Hope you enjoy it.
This is different for me because I'm usually the one asking questions.
I saw that. I watched a little On the Money.
Oh, gosh.
And I was like, oh, man, I wonder if she's going to flip it on me here. No, but that's pretty impressive. That's not easy. I mean, sitting down having a conversation is one thing. You're in front of, you're in a studio. You're kind of doing the real type of interviews. You got to be quick.
It wasn't live.
Okay.
However, when you're trying to sound like you're not reading, but you're reading a script from the prompter and someone else is writing for you, it's really hard. So the first season that I did, I was just like a robot. And then the second and third season, I'm like, can I kind of just take the script myself and put it into my own words? And that kind of helped me a little bit more.
It didn't sound very scripted, at least the one I might have watched one of them.
A later one.
Yeah, later one, because I was like, I'm like, I assume she's reading a teleprompter, but I wouldn't have known.
I got to ask WCNY if they can put a bloopers reel together because there was a lot of takes and me cursing and it was fun.
Yeah. I mean, that's like this. We don't usually do too many takes, but if it's like, oh, we can cut that out. Sometimes I'll say something. I was like, oh, I was way off. Don't even put that in there.
Yeah.
But it just takes the pressure off too. You don't have to
for sure.
be too spot on.
So congrats to you on making the switch and recording all these episodes and highlighting people in our upstate region.
It is cool because like I said, I enjoyed talking to people and just, selfishly just to kind of get to know people doing cool things. But it is also kind of cool to give people a platform because people, hear of a business or something they're doing, but they've never heard them talk at length about it, right? You see a snippet on Instagram or YouTube or whatever it is, but sitting down and kind of hearing the story behind it and kind of, how they got to that point, lessons learned, definitely gives a cool perspective.
It does. It does.
Tell me about you though, Liza. I don't really know a whole lot.
Oh my gosh. Luke, what do you want to know?
Besides you're a Knicks fan, which is cool.
Right. Knicks. I'm actually wearing my son's hat. It was only right that I wear it. I mean, we are in New York. And right now we're all together in this NBA finals.
What's tough is the Spurs are such a likable team.
They are.
But it's like the Knicks. Can't cheer against them.
But there's no city like New York City. And the fans of the New York City fans are unbeatable. I don't know. I wish I was in New York City right now just for that one win that we had yesterday.
It's been such a tough stretch up to this point. It's been the 90s since they made it.
27 years.
27 years, exactly.
Since they made it to the finals.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So,
okay.
Long
time coming.
Where do I start? This is actually, I wouldn't say hard, but very different for me to talk about myself and my business. And I want to thank you for bringing me on to have this opportunity.
Yeah.
So Legendary Soul Studio is my current business. And that probably started when I was going to OCC, Onondaga Community College, and I studied TV and studio production. The reason for that is because my father was a photographer. And I think it's in my blood to be a creative. And I picked up a camera. He actually got me a Canon. And since then, I've been taking pictures and doing video. A little after I graduated from OCC, I didn't know where I wanted to go. So I took an anthropology class, a social cultural anthropology class at Onondaga Community College. And I was fascinated by anthropology. So I decided to go to SUNY Binghamton and study anthropology. And my dream was to go to another country, work for the National Geographic, and just be like a photojournalist in another culture, embed myself in another culture. That didn't happen. I got pregnant when I was in college, and I had my son, Kenzo. And, life happens. So I quickly shifted after that, finished my degree. A little late because I had to take some time off. And it was then that I had I was in a space of I have to make ends meet. And I got into videography for weddings. And I was out in Binghamton, not really knowing how I'm going to make next month's rent. I got an opportunity to shoot a wedding and made some money and made ends meet. But soon after that, I moved back to Syracuse. And I knew a friend that also was part of the TV and studio production degree with me, and he was working at CNY Central. And I said, do you guys have any opportunities over there? I'll take whatever at this point. And I became the news editor for the news late at night. So I used to shift schedules with my mother to watch my son. And it was a really cool experience having to edit the news when things happen very quickly. I had to quickly edit a video, made some mistakes, but it was very fun. One of the things that I noticed that I didn't like was that the news are very sad. And I found myself editing very sad news, and I didn't like it. Um, so I reached out to what was the second level of CNY Central, which was where all the account executives sit, and they sell, spots on TV and digital marketing. And from that, I said, hey, do you guys have any opportunity upstairs that I can interview for? They had a digital sales assistance position, interviewed for it, learned everything that I could. I was showing up early and leaving late. I think my work ethic from there took me to a really cool company that we have here. It's called SpinCar. Well, it used to be called SpinCar. Now it's called NPAL. Devin Daly.
Yeah.
And they scooped me up, and I did really great work at that organization. I always told Devin, like, we're the same age and you somehow have an amazing company. What did I do wrong? But it was such a fantastic opportunity for me because I feel like I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So I had the ability to be an entrepreneur within SpinCart and Pell and develop one of their departments alongside Art, which was my boss. And I learned so much. And then at this point, my son is growing, right? And I've decided to stay here in Syracuse. And I said, how am I helping my community? And I just wasn't doing that with my role at Impel. Cool work, amazing, but I really wanted to have impact in my community. And then another opportunity came up, and in all of that, I still crave the creative side of things, taking pictures, doing video. And I'm even doing it right now where I'm kind of going through my resume instead of talking about the creative aspect, my business, right? So much of my work has been working for other people that sometimes I forget to switch and talk about myself. But within all that, to say, Joe was one of the people that said, you have a lot of potential, and you're like, he saw my potential in me before I saw it in myself. And I think it's so important to have people like that in your life. Even with this opportunity, right? I would have never in a million years thought you want to interview me. And it's people like Joe that really have pushed me to go on this journey of going full force with my business. And the name Legendary Soul came from my initials, Laiza Semidey.
Ah, okay.
And my best friend and I joke around all the time, and a few other people talk about, doing legendary things right now, as opposed to, and living in that. So that came from me just having a conversation with my best friend and talking about my initials. And I think a big part of that is that the work that I do is impactful in my community. The people that I photograph are doing amazing things. The people that I choose to partner with are good people doing good things in this community, even if we see it or not, even if it's a small impact. And I keep using your name, your podcast name here, because it's so relevant to the work that I do. And since then, I've been trying to grow my business, which is really hard because I'm a hyperpreneur. I have a full-time job, and then I also run my business.
Like a lot of people.
Like many, many of us, right? We clock in at 9, leave at 5, 5:30, 6, and then after that you clock in for your night shift of your business. But it really has been about being around people that see your potential, that push you. Sometimes I second guess myself. I still do. That imposter syndrome is so real. I've chosen roles in my career that definitely have an impact in the people of this community, whether it's a tiny impact where I just have a conversation with you today and you take something from it and then you keep going. Um, and then a lot of my roles and my leaders have also recognized that I need my creative side of what I do. So it's taking pictures, connecting me to those opportunities, even if it's not part of my 9 to 5. So really supporting my business overall.
Yeah.
So I kind of went everywhere there. So
No, yeah,
pull
actually,
some,
that's
pull some
good. I
strings
mean,
from
what you
there.
did was kind of catch me up, and
Yeah.
that makes it easier to kind of continue the conversation. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's interesting. People talk about being an entrepreneur, because I consider myself an entrepreneur, but
Mm-hmm.
it always helps to be an entrepreneur, to work for someone too, because like you need to gain experience, you need to learn what you want to do, what you don't want to do, and it's hard to do. Like you can't just start a company. Oh, I don't want to do that. Start a company. You can, but it's time. Especially a lot of us have to make ends meet and things like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So it's like, all right, how do you do that? You work for someone, you learn, right? You get
Mm-hmm.
better, you hone in your craft, you learn what not to do or what you don't like to do, what you want to do, and then maybe you go to another job, and you
Mm-hmm.
eventually find, okay, how can I carve out my niche to be able to start my own business and do what I love and make sure it's something that's going to be sustainable for my life.
Yes.
And I can also make an impact and make ends meet.
Correct.
And whether that happens in your early 20s, some people just have $1 million idea out of college, out of high school, and they run with it. But
Yep.
that's, I think, an anomaly. A lot of entrepreneurs have to kind of figure it out. So I think we're all somewhat in that process. So it's
Yes.
kind of interesting that you're going through that. You talked about
Yeah.
that.
And what I'll say is that entrepreneurship skills are amazing to have, even if you're working for a business, because you get to develop new features, new products, new processes. You get to bring new things to the table. And I mean, you use it all: accounting, customer service, thinking about what services to offer, customer journey. I mean, there's so many things. I always say, listen, if you don't know what to do, that's okay. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with my life.
I always say that. I'm like 36,
I
still
say that
figuring it
all the
out.
time.
Yeah.
I'm 35, still trying to figure it out. But those skills you can take anywhere with you. And really just being a lifelong learner. Like I love learning new things. And I think that you can see that in my career journey. I've gone from tech, software, automotive software, to healthcare, to back to tech and workforce development. Now I'm in construction. So it's taken me into a few different industries, being a lifelong learner and always coming to the table curious about something. Like you can't be the smartest person, right? I always go to a table wanting to learn something from someone, which has really helped me in my journey in building my relationships for my business and my career.
When you have a core set of skills, right, you're able to jump from different industries. And yes, you got to get brought up to speed on some
Of
things,
course.
but there's a lot of fundamentals that translate.
Yes.
And it's
Absolutely.
almost better because you have a fresh perspective. You're coming from a different industry. So you can
Yes.
come in and say, why are we doing it this way? And they look at you like, I don't know. We've always done it this way. Or did they have a good
Right.
explanation, or maybe they don't.
Yes.
And maybe they're like, well, maybe we should look at this.
Yes.
So that's, I think a lot of people, that's a good way to kind of approach your career is like,
Right.
what can I fundamentally do well? And so
Mhm.
no matter where I end up,
Right.
I can make an impact.
Correct. Yes. Even if it's, like I mentioned
Yeah.
before, a tiny impact or a lasting impact. My goal in life is to make a lasting impact with anyone that I meet, whether it's, again, a tiny interaction or we talk every other day. So I agree.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because I run a recruiting service. And what I do is I have a small group that does a lot of phone screens for a couple companies locally. And I always preach, I'm like, you have an opportunity to talk to someone about the company. You got to, when they walk away, they got to be like, if they're interested and we're interested, that's great. But even if they're not interested in the job or we're not interested in them, they're walking away saying, wow, that company's the real deal. Like you just got to give them, delight their day,
Yes.
right? You have an opportunity. You're there talking anyway. You may as well make
Mm-hmm.
the most out of that 10, 15, 20-minute phone screen.
Yes,
And
I
it's
agree.
like, that's obviously something specific, but you translate that to
Right.
really to anything.
Yes, yes. And you can tell if you're excited about something on a phone call. Like when you're smiling, when you're
Smile and
not
dial.
smiling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so.
Exactly. This episode is brought to you by Renewal by Anderson of Central New York. Spring savings are going on right now, and Upstate Impact listeners can receive $750 off 4 windows or more. Just mention Upstate Impact when you call to take advantage of one of the best promotions they offer all year. If your windows or doors are outdated, drafty, or costing you on energy bills, now is a great time to schedule your free consultation. Call 315-422-3500 today. Think back to that first wedding down in Binghamton.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
I mean, you don't have to go into specifics how the
Yeah.
wedding was, but like that feeling of, you're kind of in it, they're hiring you, you're getting paid, right? Like, did you have that scratch an itch for you as an entrepreneur? Like, I want to continue to do something like this.
It was, first of all, the wedding was amazing. The couple, I still remember like it was yesterday. The couple had a water slide. It was I don't even know where it was. It was somewhere in a beautiful forestry area
In upstate New York?
in upstate
Like
New
near
York.
Binghamton, okay.
Yes. And it was fantastic. But what I will say, I was so freaking nervous. Did I catch the kiss? Did I catch the dance? Was I focused? I think my camera stopped working for a second and like overheated. So there was a lot of pressure I put a lot of pressure on myself. But it turned out great. I delivered the video, I got paid, I got a tip, and I was like, oh my God, I can do this, right? But one of the things that I struggled with, and I still do to this day, is how to price myself, right? Because there are some projects that are more about community and impact and or helping an entrepreneur or someone that's building their brand where they can't pay that much, right? And then we have other organizations that are full businesses that can pay more, right? And it's just like figuring out that pricing model for myself. I just always feel bad. That's my downfall. I feel bad for everyone. I want to help everyone. And I forget about myself, right? And really understanding like, Liza, you are running a business. You have to be profitable. And while you have an enormous heart, you kind of have to price yourself in a way that you can, one, take corporate customers, but also still give back to the people that aren't there yet. So I just think back to the wedding, and I can't even remember how much I charged, but I thought I made $1 million at that point. But it was doing it with fear. Same thing with WCNY. I was like, you want me to stand in front of a camera and be your in-studio host? When I tell you my nerves were out of this world. I don't know if there's some shake in the video in my first episode, but I was very nervous. And I think if it wasn't for the support that I have, I would have never been able to do that.
Yeah, it reminds me of my first podcast. Not so much this one, my first lacrosse recruiting 101 podcast. And it was shaky at best.
Yeah.
It was like I was talking to a coach on the phone, and it was literally just question. And like, I just was so nervous because I've never done anything like that. But there's something to doing something that, as they always say, do something that scares you every day. But it's like, it's true, or something that gives you those feelings in your stomach, that public speaking feeling you get. Like, I don't care how often you do public speaking, it gets easier, but it's never just easy.
It's never.
Right. You always have that feeling, right? When you have to get up in front of a bunch of people and talk, you always get a little nervous. And I think that's something good to do, because it's like anything, right? When you're done with it, you feel great, especially if you did a good job, especially if you prepare yourself to do a good job, and then you like nailed it and you're like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're right in the sense of it should make you scared a little bit. when you speak in front of others. I think it's good for you.
Yeah.
If you're no longer, I think that if you're no longer afraid or have like some type of feeling, then you got to do something else
Yeah,
that
you're not
scares you.
challenging yourself.
Yeah, you're not challenging yourself. I agree.
I tell my wife that when I'm like, get the spider in the bathroom. I'm like, you're a little afraid.
Why
but
would you tell her to do
I'm just
that?
kidding. No, but yeah. So talk about Legendary Soul Studio. What is your bread and butter? Like what do you do the most? You kind of
Yes.
have a few different services on there. I went
I
through the
do.
website, but like what do you think you do best?
I think what I do best is I highlight people through my lens in a very beautiful way. The other thing that I'm finding out that I'm really good at is building relationships in our community and building trust within our community members and really understanding where they're coming from, some of their challenges, some of their opportunities. And I think this goes back to my degree of anthropology. And I just really love talking to people, and I'm so curious about their life and what they do, their culture, their language, the music they like to listen to, that I am just, I gravitate to work like that. So my core service has been photography and videography. I'm really focused on working with nonprofits, companies, and businesses here that are interested in connecting with our communities here because they have some sort of service, a product, an initiative, a program. Oftentimes, we think that if we put a program together or an event together, people are just going to show up. And that doesn't happen often. You have to build that credibility. You have to build that trust. You have to kind of show up in the community. You have to meet you have to meet people where they're at.
It's a noisy world out there.
It really is.
So you got to find a way to actually get in front of them and
Yes.
them
And with
decide they're going to
everything,
spend time with this.
absolutely. And with everything that's going on in Central New York, really being intentional about what you're bringing into the community, how you're bringing it to the community, how you're communicating to your target audience is very, very important, especially when it comes to minorities, women, right? People that speak a different language. How are we showing up in those communities to get them to feel as if, oh, I deserve to go to that training, or I deserve to go to this day party because I'm a Knicks fan and I want to go to a watch party. So really connecting organizations with the people in our community, because we actually have a lot going on in our community. So that's kind of my bread and butter, is building, connecting, trust, and just really being curious about people.
Yeah. I got to put you in touch with Scott Heron. He was on here a couple of podcasts ago. He's the executive director of NAMI Syracuse, National Alliance of Mental Illness.
Yes.
And their big problem is like they have all these great kind of services and educational stuff. And it's like, but it's just him. And he's like,
that's tough.
So I got so much time. And, as he said, going into it was like, we're the best kept secret. He's like, but we don't want to be a secret.
Correct.
So you made me think of him.
And with everything that's going on here, the mental health challenges I can leave this building and see the mental health challenges that we see. So yeah, I don't want him to be a secret in this community.
Yeah. There's just so many resources.
Yeah.
I mean, he's bringing up things I had no idea. And I'm sure a lot of listeners did.
Right.
And it's like, even just the educational piece of like, just paying attention to what's out there, and maybe whether you're struggling or someone's struggling,
right.
It's powerful.
Yes.
And it's, a lot of it's talking about it and making sure you're aware of what you can kind of tap into.
Yeah. So connect me with NAMI.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can get some great photos, great images of them.
Yes. Yes.
What do you enjoy doing the most? I mean, it sounds like that's probably what you enjoy doing, is kind of what you just went into, but like, do you prefer kind of the video side of it, the photography, just really the people connection side of it? I mean, maybe it's all.
It depends on the day.
Yeah.
As a creative, there are ups and downs. Some days I'm extremely creative and I'm like, I want to do the shoot and I can edit my butt off. And then some days I don't want to do that. However, when I take pictures, when I'm behind the lens, I feel like the whole world shuts down for me, and it's just me and my camera and the folks in front of it. So I really do enjoy that. And I need to either take pictures or do some video every so often. I'm very selective
Keeps
with
you
what I
balanced.
do. It keeps my balance. But I think my favorite thing is really what I really love to do is connecting people to an opportunity. Like if, like, just like you did, you said you heard what I do and you said, I'm going to connect you. I love doing that. It's just like we're having a conversation, and what we're having the conversation, I'm thinking in my brain, okay, who can I connect this person with to continue doing what they love to do or explore something that they're interested in. So really connecting people to more opportunities so that they're exploring more. And I think that comes from the lack of access a lot of the people that look like me have. And I'm always instantly trying to, well, you need to talk to this person because this person is going to take you to the next person. Or you need to go through this program because this program is going to get you to the next thing or the next job opportunity or whatever that may be. Um, and then I enjoy golfing
Oh, yeah?
with my husband and my son. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Where do you play golf?
We go to, and I say this wrong all the time, Tecumseh. Am I saying that right?
I don't even-
It's a 9-hole course. And then we
Okay.
also go to Butternut.
Okay. Yeah,
Butternut Creek Golf Complex.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am no expert though. It's just fun.
So
I'm not great.
It's not the same as photography as far
Oh
as
no.
your skill
Oh
set.
no. Very different. Very different.
But going back to your point of like connecting those dots,
Yeah.
I'm a true believer that you really only do 1, 2, maybe 3 things well, any given person, right?
Mhm.
And it takes a lot more than that to really accomplish something. So a
Mhm.
lot of what makes the world go is making those connections. And obviously it
Mhm.
feels good to do that, but also feels good to give back. When you're an expert in something, nothing better than like, I'm an amateur and you can kind of guide me, right? Be that mentor. And people are
Yes.
usually pretty happy to do that. I know
Yes.
people can be hesitant to try to find one or to reach out to someone they want to talk to. And I understand sometimes as the more successful they are, the busier they are. But as long as you're being reasonable, right? It's not like, hey, come sit with me for 3 hours. No, like I will buy you lunch. Give me
Mhm.
25 minutes, half hour. I will buy you lunch. I just want to pick your brain. Like
Yes.
most professionals are willing to do that if they have the time, right?
Yes.
So
Yep.
little things like that. I mean, I used to do that down in Texas. I just like read it in a book, right? One of the, like a
Mhm.
business book. Like it's a great thing to do. So I talked to one that was in commercial real estate, one that was in mergers and acquisitions, a bunch of things that were way over my head, but I
Mhm.
wanted to learn more. And
Mhm.
even just being around them, right? You are who you surround yourself with, and they're very successful people in their own right. And it's just that helps build who you are.
Right.
And so when you have an opportunity to kind of put those pieces together, it also kind of selfishly makes you feel good too.
I love that you're bringing this up because I like to say I have built my own personal board of mentors. And there are certain people that I reach out to for certain things, whether it's career wise, whether it's being a mom or dealing with friendships,
Yeah,
relationship
yeah,
with
it's not
my
always just
husband.
business.
Right. No,
100%.
it's not always just business. And that has gotten me where I am today. Just having those conversations and being intentional about reaching out and making sure that I am coming prepared. And you're right. Oftentimes, mentors, while they may be very busy, mentorship is a two-way streak. Same way I'm learning from you, you're learning from me as a millennial coming up. I mean, at some point, you have to retire and kind of give it up to the millennials to take over the things that are happening in Central New York. Um, and that has been very helpful in my career. Joe is one of my mentors. I reach out to him all the time about many things. Melanie Littlejohn is a mentor of mine. She's also my mother-in-law.
I was gonna say, yeah, so
So,
the name there, yeah, okay.
but being very intentional about people's time and what you're coming into the conversation with, and not being afraid of asking, because what is the worst that you can get? A no? Okay, not right now. I'll reach back out in a few months when your schedule has settled down a little bit. But I also do find that they actually do want to mentor. They do want to talk to you. Sometimes they need to vent a little bit as well. I mean, they're dealing with a lot when we talk about, the leadership around here in Syracuse. And yeah, Be very intentional. Don't be afraid to ask, and build your personal board. So if anything comes up, you can just call them up really quick and kind of go through what you're going through, and they'll coach you through it.
Yeah,
So,
I love that.
yeah.
It's 100% a two-way street. I
Mhm.
think obviously you're reaching out to the mentor, you're looking
Mhm.
for guidance for a
Right.
lot of it. But, being on the other side, as I get older, right, mentoring college students and things, it's like, I ask them questions too. I'm like, I'm curious, I was in college 13 years ago now.
Right.
Things have changed, right?
Oh,
What is it
yeah.
like going into the world? What are things going on there? Like, you can learn a lot just from asking them a few questions,
Right.
but also when they ask questions like, why are you doing that?
Mhm.
And you kind of have to answer. And it's like, why am I doing? It kind of
Yep.
puts things in perspective for you a little of like, if you're not prepared, not saying like you get nervous, like, oh, I need
Right.
a good answer. It's just like, I don't know. That's a good question.
Mhm.
Like it makes you kind of explain yourself. It's like
Right.
teaching something,
Yes.
right? You're better. You learn something better when you're able to teach it. And that's
Yes.
essentially what you're doing with your life when you're
Yes.
mentoring.
Yes. Yes. I agree.
So I got to ask,
What's up?
if I'm an amateur photographer,
Okay.
give me one tip that can help me get better photos. Not necessarily me in particular, but just anyone, right?
Mhm.
What is one thing you see done wrong as a professional photographer? Talking about giving advice and giving back.
I think framing is very important.
Explain that.
So I use the rule of thirds. When you're taking a picture and you want to frame your image, what I use is a rule of third, and it's 3 sections horizontally and 3 sections vertically. And usually I like to align my subject within the lower third, or centered right in the middle of all your little squares, the square in the middle. Or I sometimes at the very top of the third. So it really depends what you're taking pictures of. The most important thing about photography is the lighting. That creates the mood. And it's not easy to do because you have to um, set the aperture, set the shutter speed, the ISO. So my best advice would be to put it on automatic. And as you're taking pictures, you're looking at what the settings of the camera that it automatically set. And from there, you can start learning that, okay, the aperture means the depth of field, right? So if my aperture is 2.8, that means you're focused, but anything behind you is blurry. If my aperture is at a
Kind of like a portrait mode.
yes, if the aperture is at f8 or 10, that means most of this is probably focused. One of the things that I've learned is that you have to keep shooting. You have to keep taking pictures. You have to keep taking video, because that's what's going to get you to become a better photographer.
Yeah.
So just keep practicing.
I say that because everyone's kind of an amateur photographer
Yeah.
nowadays. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone's got thousands of pictures on their phone
Oh, yeah.
that they're taking of their
Yes.
kids, their significant other, whoever it is.
Yes.
So if you're already taking the pictures, you may as well be a little more intentional about it and try to
Yes.
get better at it.
Yes.
And so that's why I kind of ask, is like, I'm terrible at it. My usually theory is just take 25 of them and maybe one
I
will be
still
good.
take 25 of them
Yeah.
just because.
Well, I mean, professionally, they're constantly doing it to get however many photos, right?
Yeah.
One out of every 10, 20
Yeah.
are actually good.
The one thing about the iPhone is that I like to do is when I'm going to take a picture, I click on my subject and then I bring down the brightness. And then that way the light is a little lower and it's not super exposed. So that's a trick that you can try
That's good.
later on.
Good for the listeners. Yeah. I've never done that. Well, Liza, I appreciate you coming on. Yeah, this has been great. And kind of just tell people, if they're moved by what you're doing at Legendary Soul Studio or want to find out more, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
They can go on my website, legendarysoulstudio.com, or they can follow me on social media. Everything is Legendary Soul Studio.
Sweet.
And I'm usually around the community. I like to be in the community, and I don't know what I'm saying, but I am on social media.
Yeah.
If you stalk me, I'm going to stalk you back. But yes, you can find me around the community. Love being out there, love helping people, love connecting with people, love having coffees and learning about people. So I'm excited, and I want to thank you for reaching out and bringing me on.
Of course. Go Knicks.
Woo! Go Knicks!